And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Covalence. Covalence is from Genius Games, and Genius Games really has me excited for the gaming industry because they work with a subject often ignored, and that is science, dealing with hard, actual science and making fun games around that, which is great because we have tons of history and math and English games. Having some science games, that's certainly not going to hurt it at all, and they've made some really great games. This one here is about building molecules. Take a look. Each player is given some molecules here. So here I have a couple. I get 3 carbon molecules, 2 nitrogen, 1 oxygen, and 7 hydrogen molecules. So each player has these. As a team, you're going to have a certain number of guess tokens, depending on the number of players, and a certain number of guess tokens. Those are the black ones, and clue tokens, the yellow ones. And so one person is going to be giving out the clues. Now that person is going to be putting 3 cards in front of each player face down. And you can pick how difficult you want these cards to be. But these cards are essentially going to, like this is a hard card, for example. But this is how they have to build, I'm sorry, it's an easy card. It's not hard. This is how they have to build their molecule. So the person who's giving out the clues is going to look at the card in front of each person. So I might pick it up and take a peek at it and then give you a clue. They can give each person 1 clue. And so maybe for this clue, I would say, oh man, this is kind of a hard clue. I don't know that I would even give the first person a clue. Okay, so if I got no clue, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he didn't give me a clue. There's hydrogen, carbon, and nitrate out there, and there's a double bond. Actually, no, this is the clue I would give the person. I would give them no double bond. So they know there's no double bond. Now, they know that when they're building this molecule, that the different atoms that they have here, there has to be 3 of the large ones. All right, so they know there's no double bond. So that kind of, that maybe oxygen it's going to be on this side for sure. And there's going to have to be hydrogen connected to all things, so there's no double bond here. So carbon would be on this side, and nitrogen would be on this side. Now, they don't know much more than that because I could have given them 2 carbon or 2 nitrogen, but since I didn't give them that clues, maybe the person would say, okay, well, let's try something like this. So they'll put a carbon here connected to the oxygen, connected to the nitrogen, and then they'll fill in all these things here with hydrogen. Like this. So this would be possibly their guess, right? And everyone's going to go around that, and if everyone thinks they have it correct, they can use one of your guess tokens. All right, every time I'm giving clues to each person, I'm going to be using these clue token to give a clue to everyone. If you guess, for each person who's correct, you're going to get a clue token back. Otherwise, you're going to lose a guess token. When all your guess tokens are gone, you've lost the game. And then we'll be drawing more cards and giving more clues as time goes by. That's pretty much the game. Now, in this case, you can see that the one they're trying to build is very close to what it's supposed to be. In fact, it's correct. It's just in reverse, but it is the correct clue. And so this would be correct, but I would be giving out more and more clues. So maybe if I didn't give you any clues, I'm telling you your answer is correct. There's all sorts of ways to give the clues to help people out. But as long as they know the basic facts, like the hydrogen fills up the outside, there's going to be at least 2 hydrogen all the way up to possibly 7 hydrogen. You can make the game more difficult if you add in a chlorine token for everybody. And then at that point, you can start giving harder ones, and they have to figure out where the chlorine is stuck. And that's pretty much it. You're trying to solve the 3 cards in front of everybody before you run out of all your guess tokens. If you do that, then the players altogether cooperatively win the game. The game box is pretty small, but all the pieces fit well into it. These are a little boring, I guess, cubes and discs, but they work. The cards themselves, the only problem I have with the cards is I'm surprised these aren't called molecule cards, because I kept thinking, I'm like, oh, that's the molecule you need to solve. No, it's actually what's on the other side. I was just surprised I didn't put molecule, but other than that, the cards themselves are of good quality. These are fine, the different pieces, and the other cards look great. So it all fits into the box. It's a nice little package. I always like how the rules are written. They do a really good job on that. And at the end, they also talk about the different player distribution. They talk about how to build things and how to give clues, and they talk about the different cards that are possible. So I like that sort of thing also. Now, I know one of the play testers on these games, and I know that they work really hard at making them scientifically accurate. And the books themselves have different things that explain why this is the case and tell you a little bit about that. I like that because it's been a long time since I've had high school science, and so this stuff is like a refresher course, and it's not bad stuff to know. So they do a good job at putting that science into the game. The theme works really well. This is the third game that I played from Genius Games, and I think it's maybe my least favorite of the three, but I do not think that it is a bad game. It's a logic game. I tend to like those a lot, where you're giving clues to someone and they're trying to figure it out. Where this game gets a little fuzzy for me is the multiplayer. I think this works really well with two players. Just giving clues to another person, you give a clue, they sit there and go, do I have it or not? When you're giving clues to multiple people and you're kind of stuck with the cards, and so you're giving clues and everyone's like, well, are we all correct? Because you're not allowed to do anything else when you give these clues. You're not allowed to say anything or point to cards. Although the way you put the cards down, you can put the cards on top of each other or point them in different directions or whatever, which isn't as useful as it is, but you can be kind of creative as you put the cards down. So I like that concept. It's just the problem that you're dealing with let's say you're playing a 4-player game. You're dealing with 3 different players and 3 different clues to each player, and so you're constantly picking up the cards and looking at them, and okay, this person gets this, and it's just a little messy in that regard. I don't think it's bad, it's just a little messy, and when you're dealing with one person and giving a clue, or everyone's working together to solve it, I think that kind of comes across better. Overall, I'm very impressed with the ideas of it, and the chlorine edition really makes the game much more difficult. After a while, playing the basic edition, I'm like, yeah, I know where these molecules go, or at least have a pretty good idea, given the clue that I'm given by the other person. So it works. It has that science theme stuck into it about building molecules, and it has the fun spatial element of putting the things out there and messing with them. And it teaches you some things about science too, so that's always a positive benefit. So, like I said, a little hazy, I think, with multiple players, but other than that, it's a nice, solid deduction style game, and now I know more. Dice Tower Judgment, fun molecule building.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!